In the shadow of Arlington's sacred hills, a tomb guard stood like stone, his eyes fixed beyond the missed rifle, steady as the pulse of freedom itself. Sergeant Michael Reyes wasn't supposed to speak. Not a word, not ever, per the creed etched into his soul. But when General James Harlan, 4 stars gleaming in memory, stepped forward with a trembling hand and a patch from a war long past, the silence broke. 8 words slipped out, heavy as a soldier's sacrifice. "My father served under you, sir. He's gone." The crowd froze, phones forgotten, as a secret carried in a dying man's letter unraveled a truth so raw it brought a hardened general to tears. What was in that letter? And why did it feel like fate had planned this moment? Before we dive into the story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe that values like honor, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in keeping their legacy alive. It was a chilly November morning in Arlington National Cemetery, the kind of day where the mist clung to the rolling hills like a quiet vow of reverence. The leaves blazed red and gold, painting the Virginia landscape with the fierce beauty of an American autumn. The air smelled of damp earth and distant pine, carrying a weight that only sacred ground could hold. General James Harlan, 4 stars earned through 40 years of service, wasn't here for a ceremony or a headline. At 68, with lines etched deep in his face from Desert Storm to Afghanistan, he'd come to pay his respects, the way only a soldier could, alone, or as alone as a man trailed by a security detail could manage. Harlan stepped out of the black SUV, his polished boots crunching on the gravel path leading toward the tomb of the unknown soldier. He waved off his lead agent, Laura Thompson, a former Marine with eyes sharper than a hawk's. "Laura, give me room to breathe." He set his Ohio drawl steady but soft. She nodded, scanning the perimeter, but kept her team at a distance. Harlan adjusted his overcoat, fingers brushing the faded unit patch sewn into the lining, an eagle and shield from his old 101st Airborne days. It was a relic from Iraq, a reminder of the men he led, the ones who came home and the ones who didn't. The tomb stood ahead, its white marble gleaming under the gray sky, etched with words that hit every vet square in the chest. "Here rests in honored glory, an American soldier known but to God." Guarding it was Sergeant Michael Reyes, 28, a sentinel of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. His blue uniform was pristine, M14 rifle at his shoulder, eyes locked forward. 21 steps, a crisp turn, 21 seconds pause. Every move a testament to discipline forged in fire. Reyes wasn't just a guard. He was a symbol of America's promise to never forget. But beneath that perfect stillness, Reyes carried a weight of his own. 3 hours earlier, in the quiet of the barracks, his phone had buzzed with a call from his sister Elena in San Antonio. "Mike, I found something in Dad's footlocker," she'd said, her voice thick with emotion. "A letter he wrote to General Harlan, your old command from Iraq. Never sent it, just tucked it away with his medals." Their father, Sergeant Major Carlos Reyes, had been a lifer, a first-generation American from Mexican roots who fought in Fallujah and paid a price, shrapnel in his leg, nightmares that haunted him until cancer claimed him last spring. "What's it say?" Michael had asked, his heart pounding. Elena read fragments, how Dad credited Harlan's 2003 Baghdad speech for pulling him back from the edge, reminding him his scars were badges of honor. He wrote, "You're guarding the unknowns because of what Harlan taught him. Mike hoped you'd meet him someday." Now Harlan approached the tomb, his steps deliberate, carrying the weight of memories. He'd been coming here yearly since retirement, wrestling with a question that gnawed at him. Did his words, his leadership, ever really matter, or were they just echoes lost in the chaos of war? He paused at the plaza's edge, watching Reyes march with precision that rivaled any parade ground. A small crowd gathered, middle school kids from Fairfax on a field trip, their teacher, Miss Patel, keeping them in line. An old vet in a wheelchair, his Vietnam-era ball cap pulled low. A few tourists snapping photos respectfully. Miss Patel whispered to her students, "That's a tomb guard, kids. They stand watch around the clock no matter the weather, to honor those who gave all for our freedom." A boy named Danny, freckles dusting his face, tugged her sleeve. "Can they talk, Miss Patel? Like if a president shows up?" She smiled. "No, Danny. Their creed demands silence, pure focus. It's how they show respect." A girl, Mia, clutching a notebook, added, "My grandpa says guards like him are the real heroes. They don't need medals to prove it." Harlan felt a tug toward the guard. Something in Reyes's stance, shoulder, sawed jaw, reminded him of soldiers he'd known, men who carried more than their gear. He veered off the planned path, heading for the sentry box. Agent Thompson murmured into her mic, "Eagle's moving toward the guard post. No threats, but he's going rogue." Her partner's voice crackled back, "Copy. Let him have it. General's got a thing for the troops." Harlan stopped 3 feet from Reyes, close enough to see the faint scar on his jaw, likely from his own tour in Afghanistan. "Fine morning to stand watch, son," he said, voice low, warm with his Midwestern roots. Reyes didn't flinch, eyes fixed on some distant point. Protocol was absolute, no response, no acknowledgement. But Harlan had commanded thousands. He could read a man's soul in the set of his shoulders. "I've stood posts like yours, son. Not this sacred, but in places where the enemy was close enough to smell. Takes a rare kind of grit." He pulled the unit patch from his pocket, turning it in his hands. The eagle's threads glinted faintly. "Gave these to my boys in 91. Meant we were family, no one left behind. But watching you now, I'm thinking the real honor's here, guarding the ones who never made it home." The crowd hushed, sensing something rare. Miss Patel shushed her kids. "Quiet, class. This is history unfolding." Reyes's grip on his rifle tightened just a fraction, but Harlan saw it. Inside, Michael's mind was a storm. This was the man his dad revered, whose words had been his anchor. Duty screamed to stay silent, but the letter burned in his memory. Harlan kept talking. "Met a lot of soldiers, shook hands with heroes who ran into gunfire. But you, sentinels, you're the heartbeat of this country, standing tall when the world's too distracted to notice." The mist turned to a light drizzle, but neither man budged. Harlan extended his hand, patch resting in his palm. "This is yours if you'll take it. Not an order, just respect. One vet to another." Reyes hesitated, the sentinel's creed echoing. "My standard will remain perfection." But his dad's words, read by Elena, that morning broke through. His right hand moved, precise, accepting the patch. The crowd gasped softly. Then he spoke, voice steady, but heavy. "My father served under you, sir. He passed last year." 8 words that landed like a grenade. Harlan's eyes widened, his composure slipping. "Son, what's his name?" Reyes shifted back to position, met the general's gaze. "Sergeant Major Carlos Reyes, sir. 101st Airborne, your command in Iraq." Harlan's breath hitched. Carlos Reyes, a name from the blur of war. Carlos, tough son of a gun, lost a leg in Fallujah, wouldn't evac till his squad was safe. Reyes nodded. "That's him, sir. Never complained. Said it was the price of freedom." Harlan's voice softened. "I'm sorry for your loss. Tell me about him." Reyes paused, rain tapping his helmet. The memory of his father flooded in, vivid as a desert sunrise. Dad came from nothing, sir. Born in El Paso to Mexican immigrants who worked the fields. He joined the army at 18. Said it was his way of proving he was American heart and soul. Fought in Desert Storm under you, then Iraq in '03. Fallujah broke him. Shrapnel tore up his leg, but the nightmares hit harder. PTSD was a beast he fought every day. Harlan nodded, his own memories surfacing. He saw Carlos in his mind's eye, young, wiry, dragging a wounded buddy through a hail of bullets, refusing to leave anyone behind. I remember him now, always first to volunteer, even when he was hurting. What got him through the dark days?